Hey, welcome. So today we're going to look past the day-to-day headlines and really focus on the big moves happening on the global chessboard. Things might seem pretty calm on the surface, but if you look just a little bit closer, you'll see a world that's quietly getting ready for, well, a much more turbulent future. Right. So you look around and on any given day, the news probably isn't screaming crisis. The world seems pretty normal, pretty calm. But you know what? That kind of stability, it can be really deceiving. Yeah, because if you really dig in, you'll see the world's major powers are making some absolutely critical moves behind the scenes. It's like they're positioning their pieces on the board, and every move is a signal that they're getting ready for something a lot more unstable, a lot more unpredictable down the road. So let's break down this unfolding chessboard together, shall we? We're going to start with the major flashpoint in Iran. Then we'll check out how the superpowers are signaling their readiness. After that, we'll dive into some new global frontiers of competition. And finally, we'll pull it all together and figure out what this means for alliances and, of course, the markets.
Okay, first up, let's get into our first major flashpoint, Iran. This is a big one. What kicked off as protests about the economy, about money problems, has just ballooned. It's now this massive, widespread anti-government movement, and it's creating a situation on the ground that is just incredibly volatile.
And to really understand just how serious this is, we've got to start with the human toll. I mean, look at this number. According to the human rights activist news agency, we're talking about at least 544 people reported dead in these protests. So let's be super clear. This is not some small demonstration. This is a full-blown nationwide political uprising that is shaking the Iranian regime to its very core. So, how has the government responded? Well, exactly how you might expect, swiftly and with force. We're seeing a huge security presence on the streets, tons of arrests, curfews, and of course, they're shutting down the internet in places to try and control what information gets out. And at the exact same time, Tehran is doing what it often does, pointing the finger at everyone else, claiming it's all because of foreign interference. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the global reaction is just drawing these perfect geopolitical lines in the sand. You've got the West over here hitting back with things like sanctions. The EU even took the pretty dramatic step of banning all Iranian diplomats from its buildings. Then, on the other side, you've got China and Russia saying, hey, everyone, calm down, don't intervene. And then, caught right in the middle, you have Iran quietly saying a back channel with the US is still open. It's a classic standoff. So what's the bottom line here? Why does this all matter to you and me? Well, what happens in Iran definitely does not stay in Iran. This country sits at the absolute crossroads of global energy routes. So any serious escalation, that's not just a regional problem. Oh no. It could directly hit your wallet through fuel prices and has the potential to throw the entire Middle East into chaos. And look, this tension isn't just brewing in Iran. Not by a long shot. When we pull back and look at the bigger picture, you can see the world's superpowers are all making their own moves. They're sending out these subtle and sometimes not so subtle signals that they are on high alert. You want to talk about signals? One of the most fascinating ones just came from the skies over the US. A very specific, very rare military plane was spotted in public. You might have heard of it. It's nicknamed the Doomsday Plane. And yeah, seeing that thing flying around right now with everything going on, you can bet it kicked up a huge storm of speculation online. And this is not just any old airplane. This thing, the Boeing E-4B Nightwatch, is basically a flying pentagon. It's an airborne command center built tough to withstand things like an electromagnetic pulse from a nuke, and its whole job is to keep the US government and military running during the absolute worst-case scenario. Yeah, we're talking about a catastrophic national emergency. But, okay, let's take a breath here. It is so important to separate the facts from all the crazy online chatter. Defense analysts are pretty clear on this. Yeah, the timing is interesting, for sure, but these flights are almost always just readiness drills. They're testing the systems, making sure everything works. So think of it as a powerful signal of preparedness, not some secret sign of impending panic or that war is about to break out. Meanwhile, let's head over to Eastern Europe, where the information war is every bit as intense as the actual fighting. So here's what we know for sure. Ukraine is now flying Western-supplied F-16s. That's a fact. Russia, we also know, has very advanced air defense. Now here's what is not confirmed. All these rumors flying around that an F-16 has been shot down by a Russian S-300 missile. Right now, there's just no independent source to back that up. So in this fog of war, you've got to be super careful about what's fact and what's just a rumor.
And this potential showdown is a huge deal. It's basically a preview of what modern warfare looks like. We're talking about a clash between top-tier air power and sophisticated missile defense. How this F-16 versus S-300 battle plays out, well, it's not just about one plane. It's going to help write the playbook for NATO strategy and military thinking for a long, long time. But the competition isn't just happening in the usual places, right? The global chessboard is actually getting bigger. We're seeing new frontiers, new points of tension, heating up in places like the Arctic and all across Asia.
So first, let's go way up north, to Greenland. Maybe not the first place you think of, but it's quickly turning into a huge geopolitical prize. Why? 3 big reasons. Its location is perfect for the military, it's sitting on a treasure trove of rare earth minerals that we need for all our gadgets, and as the ice melts, new, faster shipping routes are opening up. It's a triple threat.
And if you want to know just how high the stakes are here, get this. A memo signed by 15 former senior U.S. officials basically said that any threat to use military force to take Greenland away from Denmark would be, and I'm paraphrasing here, strategically foolish. A massive blunder, they called it. You can bet that got some attention. Okay, now let's pivot over to Asia. There's a really interesting story unfolding with India. They're really stepping up and carving out a bigger role for themselves on the global stage. It seems like they're trying to become this essential bridge between the Western power blocks and the Eastern ones.
And you want a perfect example of this? Just look at their new defense partnership with Germany. This isn't just handshakes and photo ops. We're talking real, tangible stuff. Joint manufacturing, swapping technology, and getting on the same page strategically. It's a really big move, and it tells you a lot about how the global balance of power is shifting. All right, so we've seen all these pieces moving around the board, right? From Iran to the Arctic, big things are happening. So for our last section, let's connect the dots. What do the markets make of all this? How is the financial world reading these signals?
Well, simply put, the markets are getting nervous. Investors are playing it safe, moving their money into assets like gold. We're also seeing defense stocks get a little bump. And of course, the energy markets are super sensitive to anything happening in the Middle East. Basically, Wall Street is already pricing in the uncertainty. They're not waiting for a crisis to actually happen.
And I think this brings us to the most important point of all of this, the big takeaway. The world is not in some immediate 5-alarm fire crisis, but it is absolutely, actively positioning itself for instability. It's getting ready for a future that looks a whole lot less certain.
So let's end on this thought. This is preparation, not panic. And that's a huge difference. In the grand game of geopolitics, the moves we're seeing today, these signals, they're literally building the world of tomorrow. The real question is, are we paying close enough attention?